Peace, greetings, family. Peace, this is Professor Griff, and of course, it's 12 o'clock on Wednesday, as we are on every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. This is Professor Griff, and this is On the Masses, brought to you by Black Power Media Reloaded. Once again, this is On the Masses. It's your host, Professor Griff. If you would like to donate to the cause, please do so by hitting my Cash App at the bottom of the screen. All right, that's $ Professor Griff, and or text me. All right, 678-557-2919. Let me see. The whole title of the show is incorrect. All right, the description is wrong. I will not be talking about Siri, Alexa, and transhumanism. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Hold on. Let's do this. Hold on, fam. Hold on. All right. It would not let me go live on Instagram, so I guess I got to do it manually. All right. I promised myself I was not going to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole, a whole bunch of commercials. I was going to get right to the point within 3 minutes of me starting the show. So let me keep that promise, because it's 3 minutes and 21 seconds already. I apologize for the difficulties, the technical difficulties. We try to make it happen in a timely manner. Trying to be more proficient. I think this is my third or fourth show, and already the title is jacked up. I'm not going to be talking about Siri, Alexa, and transhumanism. I wanted to bring on Siddiqui Bakari from the West Coast, but I didn't do the due diligence of following up after I left out of Jacksonville to follow up with him to get him on the show. I'm trying to get him, Dr. Scott Whitaker, and a few other people on the show, so we can kind of broaden the scope of some of the things that we need to talk about, because I'm sure you're tired of hearing it just from one perspective, and that one perspective is coming from yours truly. I try to open up the chat to engage people, but a lot of times, the individuals that just engage with is just something, to the left. But anyway, the subject matter we're going to be dealing with today, I'm going to talk about the whole psychoanalytical methodology that's being used on Black people, especially when it comes to hip hop, and the whole psychological subversion that happened not only in the past but in the present. So we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna kind of dive into it. I got a couple of clips. I think I might not have difficulty in playing, but we will see. So thank everyone for coming on, especially those that are on Instagram right now. So there's a few books that I want to mention. Please take your pen and pad out, write them down, screenshot the books that I'm going to hold up. I'm going to read a few things from the books, but as you already know, this is how I kind of work. I need to do it in small bits so that I can understand the depth of what I'm dealing with. Even as I'm speaking and giving the information out, I'm learning aspects of these things myself. All right, so where do I want to start? I think I do want to start at the beginning. I want to talk about the title, which I'm going to have to revamp the title that's on here. It's actually I'm going to talk about the CIA in hip hop and the subversive tactics that they used to subvert those individuals, such as myself, such as the conscious artists that we're trying to establish a degree of consciousness in hip hop. That's almost null and void right now. Those of us like myself that have been under attack, they would rather write us off as crazy, sick, and all these other things, as opposed to dealing with what we say. We don't even necessarily say that you have to have this overgrown admiration for individuals like myself. I don't take that position. I care less about whether or not you like me or not. I really care less. I would rather you deal with the information, and you kind of comb through and thumb through the information, and kind of battle with yourself with dealing and wrapping your brain and your spirit and your soul around the information. I'm less important. All right. I already know from the outset that I'm hated by a lot of people. The information, my position, and that kind of thing. I know that you're not going to like me, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I've resolved that within inside of myself a long time ago. So regardless of who you are listening to this, you don't necessarily have to like me. That's a beautiful thing. All right. I don't really care. I know you'd like for me to care, but I don't. But I'd rather you deal with the information. What is wrong with you kind of dealing with the information and you kind of resolving those conflicts within inside yourself? Anyway, with that said, I wasn't bestowed the title of Minister of Information for nothing. So we'll give a few shout outs and then we're going to dive in feet first, not head first. I wouldn't want you to do that. I want you to take your big toe and test the water first. Let's see the temperature and see how deep it is, and then we can dialogue. All right, so shout out to Brandon, Roselle, shout out to Gerald, shout out to Nia Muhammad. Love being Nubian. That's a beautiful, clever name. Shout out to everyone on Instagram. Thank you all for joining me. Shout out to the people that have grown to hate me. I'm glad you're here. You hate me so much that you tune in every single week. That's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Janice Davis. Really appreciate you and your support. Shout out to all those individuals that, as long as I've known you, you fail to understand who and what I am and what I represent, even at this late stage of the game. And some of y'all may have known me a lifetime and still don't understand the position that I have to take. All right. But anyway, with that said, the CIA in hip hop. Let me start out by doing this. Let me quiet this music down, and then I'm going to see if I can actually pull up a few clips so we can lay the base for the conversation that we're having right now. All right, so let me see. Let me see if I can do this. Let me see, is this the one? Nope, I'm not sure if that's it. Hold on. Nope. All right, I think I could start off with this one. Agent Yuri Bezmenov. I'm sure you've heard of him. The defector, the KGB agent who defected. So I'm thinking that maybe we can dive into that and understand what is psychological subversion even mean and how this applies to hip hop and why are people now saying it was hip hop and it was the CIA that created hip hop, which I think is a very ludicrous statement in and of itself. I don't think it was CIA in the parks and in the back rooms and bedrooms and dungeons and basements that was putting hip hop together. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion,
I might start
today
over because I don't. 1 second, family. Give me 1 second. Yeah. That was me. Well, one second, man. Let me bring this. All right, we started from there. Ideological subversion.
When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process, which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the...
Okay, with that said, I think what's happening in hip hop, what happened in hip hop, these particular methods were being used in hip hop. Sonny, what's good with you? Peace, how are you? Sonny on deck. I think what happened and what's happening in hip hop, and now way beyond hip hop, those that are participating and operating on the fringes in the periphery of hip hop are trying to understand what happened in hip hop, and then why is it that we're getting this kind of music that we have today that's affecting us so much to the degree it's affecting our children, and we're getting so much murder, death, kill in hip hop. So the psychological subversion that I think he's talking about, that a lot of people are mistaking with the CIA creating hip hop. No, let's get a few things straight. I think we need to say this from the rip. All right. And I know I'm going to catch some flack. I hope my brother Kalanji don't mind me saying this. I don't want the channel to get shut down or anything like that. But I'm being very, very mindful, and I'm pacing myself with this conversation simply because I truly don't. I think it is the CIA. I think it has a lot to do with the FBI, which we're seeing now that a lot of the rappers are catching RICO charges. I think it has something to do with infiltrators, agents, and agent provocateurs. And I think it has everything to do with those individuals that manipulate, control, and direct agendas that are happening in hip hop. And with all of that said, I think the KGB may have something to do it as far as the methodology, but I think to implement it, I think it's FBI, CIA, and we cannot leave out Mossad. With that said, I'm gonna let that marinate for a minute, because I know some of y'all think I'm reaching when I say the Mossad. Most of y'all don't even know what the Mossad is, and I'm not insulting you. I'm just saying, take your time right now, take a deep breath, and look up who the Mossad is. Okay. Okay. Now, if we talk about psychological subversion, we have to first know what the term psychological means, or psychology means, and when it deals with the psyche and how we were manipulated. All right. So let's just do a little bit of studying so we can understand that as we continue with this Yuri Bezmenov, the KGB agent that sat down and in an interview, and he wanted to warn Americans.
KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize.
Let's stop right there. Demoralization. There's 4 stages. He says the psychological subversion happens in 4 stages. First stage is demoralization. Tell me that's not taking place, or as we speak, taking place in hip hop, and has taken place at the end of the 80s, going into the 90s. So if there was a war going on between the methodology of the KGB and the CIA, then I think I'm just doing some research, and I'm putting it out there to have a conversation with you, that I think the Mossad had a lot to do with that. That's just my take on it. You may call it something different. You may say it's something different, and that's absolutely fine with me. So the whole idea of psychological subversion, and the first in 4 stages, and the first step is demoralization. How is hip hop demoralized? What happened to the conscious artists in hip hop? What happened to those grown folks that we sampled? What happened to the grown music that we sampled? What happened to the subject matter and the things that we were tackling and dealing with as far as subject matter, and that formulated the lyrics, and that ultimately led to formulating songs that went out? What happened? What was the change? And I know you're thinking about the meeting that changed hip hop. Well, I talked about that meeting that changed hip hop in my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop. I talked about that, and had and went over it with a fine tooth comb and had discussions about it. But when we start talking about the demoralization of a people, and you're saying this happened, I'm saying this happened in hip hop, we can pinpoint when it happened. We can pinpoint those artists and those particular songs. All right, let's move forward.
Demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students.
Let's go back.
It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation.
15 to 20 years. All right, stop for a second. Go back 15 to 20 years from this date right here and tell me what was going on in hip hop.
Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students. Without
and what he's saying is absolutely correct, because some of the individuals that I have Sean Carter said you could purchase Griff's book at www.professorgriff.me. Thank you, bro. The people that I've sat at the feet at, one being Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. In her talks, she actually admits that she thought she was a Marxist. So what Yuri Bezmenov is saying when he's warning America, what he's saying is absolutely correct. I know many older brothers that I've ran with, I've sat at their feet, broke bread with, that actually admitted that they were Marxists, and or they study and practice Marxist ideology. All right?
Without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media.
He called these particular individuals that was operating, peace, Doc, what's good with you, bro? Operating on the fringes and the periphery of hip-hop, all right? Half-baked intellectuals. And I've met some of these half-baked intellectuals. I have some of their books that you will probably never read, all right? Because they weren't designed for you, the masses, the populace, to read. That may have been the their motive, but those particular books were used by the establishment, by the industry, according to Hassan Burton, by the industry, all right, to neutralize conscious hip hop. All right, you think you're writing a book about hip hop, And then once it falls into their hands, they kind of use that information to subvert hip hop. And then they choose the particular artist that they want to put the money behind and push that particular artist. All right. Whether it's in the book, whether it's a movie on a big screen, small screen, or whether it's giving them a string of shows or whatever. But the people are waking up now, and these shows are starting to get canceled. The attendance is low because people don't have time or money for fuckery. All right, let's continue.
Educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern.
He says there's nothing you can do with these particular individuals. They're stuck. They're contaminated, he said. There's absolutely nothing you can do to change these particular individuals' mind. So the question now is, how do you navigate and how do you deal with those people? How do you do it? Let's move forward.
You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. The
process of demoralization is complete and it's irreversible. Need I say that again? The process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. Now, what are you going to do with thousands of people that's been affected by the demoralization process if it's complete and you cannot reverse it? It is what it is. This is why I've said in some lectures ago, some time ago, there is a difference between whom y'all viewing as rappers and MCs. There is a difference. There is a difference between black people and niggas. We have to kind of look at it to that degree. And rather than you deal with what I say, you write me off as being sick, crazy, delusional, and all these other things. Fine. Got you. Cool. Deal with the information.
Treat society of these people. You need another 20 or 15 years.
Let me quantify that as well as qualify it. Do you remember, and this is no disrespect to this individual, do you remember a dude named something Trinidad, something rapper, Trinidad Black, I believe his name was? This is a prime example of someone just being in the hood, doing a local kind of rap thing, someone finding him and giving him Trinidad James, pardon me, you're right, Trinidad James. Snatching him up, giving him a deal, putting millions of dollars in his coffers, in his hands, in his bank account, in his wallet, letting him free to run and navigate through rap as though he's the next big thing that's going to happen. They control the press. I have it right here. They control the press. Brainwashing, a synthesis of the Russian textbook of psychopolitics. Psychopolitics, the art and science of asserting and maintaining dominion over the thought and loyalties of individuals. It's right, brainwashing. Hold on. Myron Fagan, look his name up. Myron Fagan was the one I quoted in my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop, when he talked about the Illuminati. Myron Fagan laid out the whole concept of the Illuminati. All right, I don't have a lot of time. I got a lot to go over, so I'm going to use this time wisely. All right, look up How the Press Brainwashes the American People by Myron C. Fagan. All right, Myron C. Fagan. Hope y'all got that. All right. In this book, Brainwashing, the synthesis of the Russian textbook on psychopolitics. Politics is the science of governing people, not from the perspective of the mind, but the perspective of the psyche, meaning the soul. All right. On page 51, this is what it says. Psychopolitical activities should become the only recognized treatment for insanity. So after they deem this particular thing irreversible and complete, they'll render you insane, but they'll let you stay where you are, but they'll give you $1 million record deal. That's what I'm saying. And these are the individuals that we push up and hail and listen to their music. I was in what store was I in yesterday? I went to get something for my phone. I was at T-Mobile, and they were blasting some trap drill kind of music, and I'm like, I just sat back and I'm just kind of looking at the people, body language, how people are interacting, and I'm like, they're not even bothered by it anymore. It's almost like it's the norm. They're not even bothered. You know, hearing negative things about who and what we are as a people, they're not even bothered by it. It's kind of like, okay, we just gonna be bitches, hoes, niggas, whatever, and because it's in the song. And I'm surprised that T-Mobile, a very well-established multinational corporation, would even kind of let that fly. Anyway, I'm just saying.
Is to educate.
Let me correct that. They may not be multinational. I know it's a national company in America, but let's move forward.
A new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place, and
Yes.
who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes. Simply.
Those of us that don't go along just to get along, you heard it for yourself, will be marked for extermination. And how do you think they plan on getting rid of those people that are undesirable? Whether you're on the flip side of the coin of Professor Griff or whether you're on my side of the coin, because they don't care about either one of us. How do you think they plan on getting rid of us? They're not going to just outright come out and just slaughter people and put you in a mass grave. They're going to work on you from 15 to 20 years so they can affect that next generation. Through you, you're going to be the agent that they're going to use to affect your children. This is why I do the work that I do with putting together tools that you can use to undo the psychological subversion. This is why my book is called The Psychological Covert War on hip hop. Psychology, the psyche meaning the soul, ology meaning the study of the soul, the hidden aspects of the soul, and the war that's being waged on high infinite power, healing our people. So D. Maurelius, you said chemical warfare. Well, the chemical warfare is going to be the drugs that they're going to put among us. All right, let's finish with Yuri Bezmenov on warning America.
Because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt. They will be very unhappy, frustrated people. And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. They will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Unlike in present United States, there will be no place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America. Here you can get popular like Daniel Ellsberg and filthy rich like Jane Fonda for being dissident, for criticizing your Pentagon. In future, these people will be simply squashed like cockroaches. Nobody is going to pay them nothing for that.
You heard it for yourself. You openly speak out against the government in the way that he's saying that you're going to speak out, whether it's in a rap song, hip hop song, whatever it is. If you're not toting the line, you will be dealt with in such a way. Whether they do it covertly or overtly. All right? Okay. Look up, if you want information about what the interview that I'm playing. This is former KGB agent Yuri Bezmenov, who warns America. And he's talking about ideological subversion. All right, psychological, ideological subversion. I know it's a mouthful, but yeah, okay.
Beautiful, noble ideas of equality. This they don't understand.
You asked me about the date of this. The date does not matter. It's the information and the program that they put in place, because you can honestly admit what he's saying is going on right now as we speak once you understand it. Now, if you just on here just to be on here and you're not trying to understand it, then a lot of this will just get by you. All right.
It will be greatest shock for them, of course. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled, because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards.
Can you repeat the information to find the video? This video that I'm playing, go on YouTube, type in former KGB agent Yuri, Y-U-R-I, Bezmenov, B-E-Z-M-E-N-O-V. Yuri Bezmenov. He's a former KGB agent that defected to the United States via India. His family was in India. He was in India. He was sent on certain missions. And when that thing exploded with India and Pakistan and nuclear weapons started to kind of get talked about and that kind of thing, at one particular point, he defected to Greece and then ultimately ended up in America, and he did this particular interview. Yuri Bezmenov.
As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore.
Real true information is not going to matter anymore. It's just not going to matter. These people don't care. This generation that's coming up, they don't care. They're not trying to check for you or hear anything that you have to say.
Who was demoralized is unable to assess true information, the facts.
I'm going to play that again because y'all didn't hear him. I'm going to just be quiet.
Thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. So basically, America is stuck with demoralization, and unless, even if you start right now, here, this minute, you start educating new generation of Americans, it will still take you 15 to 20 years.
Even if you start right now to re-educate Black people in America, it would still take 15 to 20 years. I am 64. 20 years from now, I'll be 84 years old. Hopefully still on the planet, on this side of the dirt, hopefully giving out information, disseminating information. But will the listener change? Will the person receiving the information change? And then what is it going to take for you that are listening right now to do the unlearning in order to learn? All right. What is that going to take? Let's move forward.
To turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normalcy and patriotism. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, it doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation. It's what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense.
Okay, so he's diving into the infrastructure of America, and it's hard to talk about that right now at the present time, that you have your brain wrapped around this whole Republican madness that's going on. After watching the debate last night, I was just kind of, I was really just kind of happy. Like, okay, they're revealing themselves, but I wonder if the average person is looking through the fuckery, through the BS. Okay. That's Yuri Bezmenov. Hold on for a second, fam. I think it's this one. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I think this one is Ice Cube. It says why the CIA is targeting rappers. Before I play that, though, when the early days of hip hop was being formulated in the hearts and minds of our people, in the dark, in the parks, in the basements, in the garages, and wherever we were at. All right. I want to just kind of, as I've always said, not always, but as of recent, we need to give credit where credit is due. We leave out the contributions of our people in Brooklyn. All right. And I purchased this book from my brother, Paradise Gray. Shout out to Paradise Gray and shout out to Minister Server. All right. This book right here, 50 Years of Hip Hop Flyers. 50 Years of Hip Hop Flyers. I know. 50 Years of Hip Hop Flyers. In this book, there was already a grandmaster. Not a grandmaster Flash, but a grandmaster Flowers. There was already gigs going on. It was already DJs that did the damn thing. And it talked about clubs and it talked about DJs and whatever. So hip hop was going on for a long time. And I'm sure the CIA wasn't affecting hip hop at this stage of the game. Now, they may have came in a little bit later on, all right, with some of the newer groups, but nah, not when this stuff was going on. This one says WizKid, Disco Prince, The Herculoids, Cool Herc, Ace, Local Action Center, a super disco jam. It wasn't even hip hop, it was disco. You understand what I'm saying? Rappers was talking about disco. This one has the Treacherous 3, LA Sunshine, Cool Modi, Special K, Shorty Rock, Shalinda, just things that was going on. You understand what I'm saying? This is 50 years of hip hop flyers. Where was the CIA? Where was KGB? Where was Mossad? It wasn't until hip hop started speaking truth to power and speaking to the masses of the people. Thanks to Brand Nubian, Sister Soldier, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers, Public Enemy, and groups like that, King Sun. You understand what I'm saying? Lakim Shabazz. And then when NWA came along, it came with a whole nother perspective on what was going on. And then it became really dangerous because you was getting it from both ends, East and West Coast. This is why they had to create an East and West Coast beef, using some of the quote-unquote hottest rappers at that particular time, or shortly after that. So we got to understand this dynamic and how this works. 50 Years of Hip Hop. Fine Art Hip Hop presents 50 Years of Hip Hop. One other book is the FBI War on Tupac Shakur and Black Leadership. All right. The United States intelligence murderous targeting of Tupac, MLK, Malcolm, Panthers, Hendrix, Marley, rappers, and linked ethnic leftists. All right, by John Potash. Forward by Pam Africa, Mumia Abu-Jamal. After forward by Fred Hampton Jr. This book is written by John Potash, who I know, I'm friends with, and we've done lectures together. We cannot overlook this kind of information if it's here. If what Yuri Bezmenov was saying is true, then let's start pulling up the receipts and how it's affecting us today so we can undo some of the damage for that next generation. All right? And I think this is what Ice Cube had to say. Let's see.
About a year ago, Ice Cube went on Bill Maher's podcast and said this.
Let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people.
But it goes deeper, with many people believing that the CIA aided the prison industry in their attempt to hijack hip-hop and use it as a psyop. For a long time, there have been multiple conspiracy theories that the CIA has used.
He said the CIA wanted to hijack hip-hop and use it as a psyop. A psyop is the psychological operation. The same thing Yuri Bezmenov just finished talking about. Why would they need to use hip-hop as a psyop, a psychological operation?
Used hip-hop as a psyop, that the investigation of rappers, and that the prison industry, like Ice Cube said, is directly involved with the genre. Now, Ice Cube has been in the game for decades, as a member of NWA, as a successful solo artist, and with a successful acting career, which is why I feel like his claim may have a little bit of validity. And the theory goes much deeper than just being thrown around all the time. It's hard to tell fact from fiction. So today, I wanted to look into all of these theories and see how they work with one another. First, I want to clarify, I've seen these theories, and I think they're interesting, but I'm also not like some conspiracy nut. I've done a bunch of videos talking about conspiracy theories because I just find them interesting to look into. The only reason I'm really looking into this one is because Ice Cube said it, and is
First of all, let me qualify this. Not that, but just I have a relationship. I don't speak to Ice Cube often, but I've had a better relationship with Ice Cube back in the day. Me and Ice Cube have always been cordial, friends. I respect the man and respect the information. Those individuals like Ice Cube have a good heart, good intentions when it comes to our people, and truly know and understand hip-hop is truly ours and wants to advance the culture. I see people coming at Ice Cube because it's your lack of understanding. And I think we tend to forget each individual that we're listening to and watching, their struggle and how they got to this particular point. And you hit us upside the head with what you perceive as being something very toxic trait and quality that we have, and you use it against us. I'm gonna say that again. You go and take the same qualities that it took for us to muster up the strength and the energy to navigate racism, white supremacy, and the music industry to get to this point to teach our people. You take them same qualities that we have, that the Creator deposited in us to get to this point, and you use it against us as though it's toxic. How is it toxic? The man was telling you back then, fuck the police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got it bad because I'm brown. I'm not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Come on, man. But you use these things against us.
someone who's been in the game for so long, I feel like there's a bit more validity to him saying it than some random nerd on Reddit saying it. So yeah, that's why I'm looking into it and gathering all the possible information and seeing if there's any truth to these claims as objectively as possible. Also, I want to clarify that the CIA, FBI, or any other government apparatus that I refer to sometimes just generally refers to the government because it can get a little tricky with all the names of the organizations. Like in the title of the video, I don't literally mean the CIA. It could be any subdivision, you know. You'll see.
And this is the madness that we have to deal with. This is the madness that we have to deal with when we having these conversations. So I can't say CIA, you can't say Mossad, you can't say KGB, you can't say FBI, you can't say all these. How would you even know then if we can't? There's a whole list of things that you can't even say online right now. So they'll take this URL and redirect this thing to Siberia somewhere.
See what I mean throughout the video. So let's just check it out. On July 2nd of 2023, Bill Maher released an episode of his Club Random podcast featuring Ice Cube, in which they spent a small chunk of time speaking on this theory. They got onto the subject of division in America, more specifically racial division, and that is when Cube brought up his thoughts on hip-hop in prison.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons.
Same people that own the label own the private prisons. I've said that numerous times in lectures. I've said it in my book. I've said it in person, in private, in public. Yeah.
You know, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
Bill pushed back a bit and said that the labels didn't make him write certain lyrics, to which Cube said, "They don't tell you what to write, but there are guardrails so certain songs, likely more provocative songs, get released, while maybe the more positive ones don't."
You know, some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're going to have this guy write the lyrics. We're going to have that.
Cube said he felt like there was some social engineering going on to make sure the prisons stay full.
Ice Cube says social engineering is going on to make sure the prisons stay full. Yes, Ice Cube, you're 1000% correct. We've talked about this over and over and over and over again. But who are these individuals now that are coming along, trying to debunk this, trying to steer you in a different direction? Those individuals, as Stephen Jacobson said, another friend of mine, I consider Stephen Jacobson a friend. I had the privilege of talking to him on the phone, never met him in person. His introduction to his book, Mind Control in the United States, introduction by Anthony Sutton. Stephen Jacobson. You've heard me talk about Stephen Jacobson for years in my lectures. I don't have time to read it all, but hold on for a second. Let me turn the light on so I can see. It says the commentary, the use of social engineering to influence and control what people think makes a mockery of the informed consent of the governed. The conformed consent of the governed, meaning you're governed. All right. The very cornerstone of the Constitution. The programming and conditioning of the mind is not a legitimate function of the United States government. The programming and conditioning of the mind is not a legitimate, we're underlining the word legitimate function of the government. The ultimate control is to control people without their conscious awareness. It is the hallmark of tyranny. They want to control you without you even knowing. Psychological subversion. Subversion. Ideological subversion. You an individual, whether you're an individual or a group, all right? On a subversive level, they want to control you. On a psychological level, on a hidden, covert level, they want to control you. Ice Cube is saying it. Willie D is saying it. Wise Intelligent said it. Griff has said it. Lord Jamar has said it. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Kalanji has said it. Black Power Media Reloaded have said it. X-Clan have said it. Rakim said it. Listen to the songs with a different ear. Last but not least, none dare call it conspiracy. All right? By Gary Allen. You have to get this in order to understand half of what we're talking about today. All right? Let's understand the dynamics and how this particular thing works. All right. I don't think I need this light anymore. I was going to read something from it for the last few minutes I have left. I think I should. Millions of Americans are concerned and frustrated over mishappenings in our nation. They feel that something is wrong, drastically wrong. But because of the picture painters that can't quite put their fingers on it, maybe you are one of those particular individuals that's feeling that something is bugging you, but you're not really quite sure. We keep electing presidents who seemingly promise faithfully to halt the worldwide communist advance, but the blocks in extravagant government spending douse the tea of inflation, put the economy on an even keel, promise you shit that they're not going to deliver on. Hold on. Corpse, paint records, you're absolutely correct. I'm glad you said it, so I don't have to. All right. This particular trend is turning the country into a moral sewer. Stutter man, what's good with you? It's turning the country into a moral sewer. So much so that if you'd watched the debate last night, you rah-rah-rahing for the blue side and the red side, and you stuck in between, and you're getting nothing from either party. You're getting nothing from either party. Last but not least, few minutes I have left. Study our good brother, Dr. Amos Wilson, The Falsification of African Consciousness, because it's those of us that are conscious that need to step up and finish putting these songs and these albums and these videos together so we can use them as tools to educate the next generation that's coming up behind us. All right? Study African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order. Dr. Amos Wilson. All right? Last but not least, because we care about the children and we have known and understand that it takes 15 to 20 years to unlearn these things in order to learn some things that we need to put in place, the development of the Black Child by Dr. Amos Wilson. And I think I had the psychology of the Black Child over here by Dr. Amos Wilson, which we need to know and understand. We have to put in place, family, the genius of Black Child, pardon me. These tools were put together to put in your hands so that you can help educate the baby so we can undo and unlearn some of these things. All right? I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to stutter when I say this, unequivocally, I'm the last public enemy that's standing. I'm going to leave that right on the table right there. So for the few minutes we have left, let me answer some of the things that's going on in the chat. Thank you very much, Karen Glass, Lately Griff, Deadeye Donnie, or Danny, pardon me. Hassan Burton, thank you very much, man. Guideline UK, what's good with you? Everybody over here on IG, thank you very much for tuning in. All right. I'm doing my best with what I have to offer. All right. In order to disseminate and get this information to you, I'm living up to my title, Minister of Information. All right. We hung out on the warp tour. Okay, cool. All right, give thanks, man. All right, family. I got a couple of announcements to make real quick. All right. Please purchase these two books. All right. You Are the Song That You Sing, in my new book. If you don't know, now you know. All right, the 5 elements of hip hop. All right. Make sure you get the Make sure you pick up the Estoppel Soul instrumental album. And make sure you pick up the Estoppel Soul with Warrior Affirmations. All right? Make sure you pick up the Psychological Covert War and Hip Hop on my site, www.professorgrip.me. All right? You Are the Song That You Sing, Book 2. Trying to get that out to you within the next month or so, fam. All right? This weekend, the Ubuntu Flow. All right? DJ Fifth World, Professor Grip, and Soleil, September 14th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. this Saturday at the Arts Exchange, 2148 Noonan Street, East Point, Georgia. All right? The ecstatic dance called the Ubuntu Flow. If you're in Atlanta, come check it out. All right? Thank you very much to all the brothers and sisters down in Jacksonville, Florida. Myself and Dr. Scott Whitaker had a beautiful time in Jacksonville, Florida. Dr. Scott Whitaker brought the pain, for real. Or he brought what's going to ease the pain. Put it that way. I think I brought the pain, but he brought what eased the pain. For real. Last but not least, my band. All right, the Soul Ohm. All right, we're going to be getting down November 16th in Capitol Heights, Maryland. All right, at E-Life, Everlasting Life. Myself is going to be speaking. Soleil is going to be speaking, and then later on that evening, my band is going to perform. And y'all ain't seen me perform in a long time, so come on out. Let's break bread. Let's enjoy ourselves. All right. This is, man, all of your books will be available on the store.finalcall.com. Maybe you can help me get them up there. All right. I don't know how. I don't know who to contact. All right. So maybe you can help me out in that process. All right. You said you got a heavy metal super group? Well, contact me. Take my phone number down. 678-557-2919. It's 678-557-2919. Give me a text or give me a call and let's talk. All right? Call Faint Records. Let's make it happen. I'm going to wait on your text a little bit later on today. Nice, Professor Griff. I got 30 seconds and my time is really, really up. Now keep in mind, this is hip-hop, CIA and the hip-hop. All right? Dealing with the psychological subversion. 678-557-2919. 678-557-2919, family. All right? It's Professor Grip. I love you all to life. Revolution is not an event. It's a process. Peace.